People, and welcome into another episode of All You Can Eat Warriors. And I mean, All You Can Eat Warriors. Absolutely. Then we got my man representing the Queensland. He's feeling confident already. How you doing, my bro, Ash?
Yeah, good, my bro. Good. I can't wait for the next Origin game, baby. Obviously, are we in for a live stream, you reckon, my bro? What are you thinking?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think
We'll
of the next
do,
week, bro?
Absolutely, man. No, I'm pumped. I love the changes the Blues have made, man. So I'm keen.
It's a great team.
Always keen on a
100%.
live stream, no matter what, you know. So it's always fun, bro. Absolutely. Have you been enjoying the live stream, mate?
Oh, I've been loving it, bro. If you tune into the Storm live stream, bro, my emotions, man. Streaming Warriors games, bro, you get to see the full emotions of the boy or the fan, you know. But yeah, I've been loving it, bro. Just going back and forth with you, obviously the Origin game and that. It's been really, really fun. So we shall continue doing this. We shall continue doing this.
No, man, absolutely, we will. Pick up everyone in the chat. Yeah, everyone's making their way in. Shout out Talon Jacko here. Welcoming you guys. And Hens Junior, what up? Wano, yes, the Wano, absolutely. Yeah, look, guys, a big show tonight. We're gonna start off just quickly, just while you guys are here. If you are here, get in there, give us a like, smash the like button, subscribe, all that jazz. And if you do have a question, please chuck a Q, the letter Q at the start. We'll put a star on that question, and when we get a little break in the discussion, we'll hit those questions, people. So appreciate that. Okay, my man. Let's get into something that I know you've been working on, you've been thinking about a lot. I'm going to give you some time now to kind of share with us what you've been working on in terms of stats and looking into our season thus far. Do you mind sharing with us what you've been looking into?
Yeah, bro. So I think like the big point that kind of set me off to this is what happens with majority of anything is like when I start to see like a certain narrative or whatever getting pointed out with the team, or, you know, players wanting people in, people out. And I start to dive for like what the real numbers are. And like, there's two things, right? Stats can show one thing. The eye test can show another thing as well. It's good to put them both together. But I feel there's some really cool stats here that show there's been a couple of really good parts to our season. It just hasn't been such a consistent season. And I feel like that 4-game losing block really has disjointed a lot of views around the Warriors and whatever's going on with us currently right now. So we've had obviously 2 points of this season where I don't know if a lot of people like still remember that. I know a lot of people have the view set of like, you know, the last 3 games, you know, the Panthers, the Finns win and the Cowboys win as like, that is our best period. We looked incredible in that period, like no Sean Johnson, all that sort of stuff. And I know there's a whole narrative around Sean Johnson, but I feel like people are quickly forgetting that start of the season that we actually did have, and defensively how solid we were in that period and what's really happened there. So me and Levon are definitely going to continue digging into this because there's a couple of stats that like we're trying to figure out what this could mean, what's changed, what's really happened between this period there to really cause our defense to blow all the way out. And really judging by the numbers between these two, you'll kind of see what we're talking about. So our first 3-game win streak, guys, is from round 3 to round 6. So that was the Raiders that were top 4 at that point. The Newcastle Knights with KP and a pretty much full strength Newcastle Knights team in that one, and a closest full strength Rabbitohs squad that was just the tipping point of them falling off in their season. So they just beat the Bulldogs coming to that game. They had Latrell. They had like, you know, most of their boys on deck except for Alex Johnston into that game. So For that period there, we actually were scoring at a 24 points per game click. So that's fairly decent, where our average currently right now is 20.9 points per game. So that is actually an uptick of where we were at that point there. Our points conceded is the best that we've had throughout the whole season, which is 8.6 points per game conceded. So that at that point was actually better than the Penrith Panthers, a lot of the top defensive teams in the competition. Our average win margin between that period there too, guys, is 15.3 points per game. Was that winning margin between the two, all the teams that we versed there. So I understand a lot of the argument, maybe like you thinking of the Raiders. The Raiders, they had Jamal Fogarty at that stage. He ended up getting injured a couple of games later. And that's when the Raiders started to really lose a little bit of their momentum, and they fell into a lull. And now they're starting to have a little bit of an uptick again. But there's a couple of really good points there. Obviously, Roger playing at center, moving to the fullback with the Knights game, playing to the wing with the Rabbits game, a lot of mix and matching, but we still held a really consistent defensive game plan. And that's what I loved about us. Our second 3-game win streak too, guys, is obviously the one that everyone knows right now because it's recency bias. Everyone's seen it. Everyone's lived through it recently. And this is why we fell in love with Tamati Martin. He stepped up in this period. He looked incredible. And our attack for the first time this season, by the look of it, went right and left. So that's the whole thing. Everyone was like, oh my God, this is the first time out. So points game, we're absolutely incredible in this period. 29.3 points per game in that 3-game block. That's incredible. That's the best we've been at overall this season. But our defense in that period has blown out to 17.3 points per game. That's still an understick of what our overall is. So it's still better than what our overall is, but it doesn't come anywhere close to our defensive hold between that period there of the first 3 games. And our average win margin between that period as well is only 12 points per game. So we still weren't able to blow teams out. Obviously, the Rabbits game is the biggest margin, I think, that we held against the side this year. So there's a lot of things to really take into account here. I also added in the first 3 games of that season, that 3-game win streak. If you want to add in the Manly game too, it's a stat I kind of didn't talk to you about before, Levon, before we jumped on the show on that. If we want to add the Manly game into it, which was a draw, obviously, as we all know, and it was to start the game fairly disappointing. We went out to a 16-0 deficit or an 18-0 deficit in that game. We had to chase that down, but we end up having a point in that game where we almost nicked the Manly Seagulls from memory in overtime. We had the better field position. We had a moment where Tohu ended up dropping the ball. We could have actually won that game. So you could have added that to a 4-game win streak at that point there too. So we're actually averaging 23.5 points per game. It's a little bit of a downtick in defense. And also we're averaging 12 points per game, which is a little bit up in our defensive, for 8.6. Still a lot better than that 3-game win streak that we've been on recently against the Panthers, the Dolphins, and the Cowboys. Our obvious worst period that we've been through here is obviously the Dragons, the Knights, the Titans, and the Roosters. So at that point, our defense blew out to 27.2 points per game. I think the only correlation I could really put together is the Manly game was a big turning point in our season to where, number one, that was the first moment that Shaun Johnson went down with injury. So there were a lot of people were actually noticing that Shawnee was limping after that game. And that was the first notice of when the coach came out a couple of weeks later and saying Shawnee hasn't trained with the squad. And that was the first point of that season that Shaun Johnson wasn't training properly with the squad. He's dealing with injury and all that. And that led to that 4-game block to where the Roosters game, he fell completely out. So our defense fully blew out as soon as we got injuries into our squad, which usually happens the NRL season. But there's a couple of really good talking points here. Obviously, attacking-wise, that 3-game win streak of Panthers, Dolphins, and Cowboys, incredible. But we lost a little bit where our defense is that we have in spades to start the season against the round 3 to round 6. So there's a lot of talking point there of what was our best part of the season. Attacking wise, 100%. That last 3 weeks was incredible. Defensively, it's still not to where what we were to start the season, how good we were to look at the start of the season. So it's a couple of food for thought because I know a lot of people want Shaun Johnson out of the side after seeing Tamati Martin take over the side of what was really going on in that period. It's kind of led me down this road of what was our best period overall? And at the moment, it's kind of whoever we seem to chuck in that 7-roll seems to do that 7-roll amazing. It's the 6 jersey that's the real, it's the big query with all of us and all that sort of stuff at the moment. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of food for thought of where that first 3-game period and even the start of the season was our best period overall, because for me, I like defense over offense. A good offense is awesome to watch, but a good defense wins championships. And you see that with some of the top teams in the competition. But again, there was like a lot of talking points where our attack was just so right side reliant. There was so many different things around that too. So what's your thoughts overall when you first hear these stats though, my bro? Like, where do you think it could have started going wrong? Like, we had changes. Kurt Capewell dropped out in the Dragons game. It was when he ended up going down with injury. Things changed from there. But I'm not saying that I want to drop Murata either, because I love seeing Murata near Corday on that edge, and he does a lot of good defensive work on that side. But now that left side's getting really, we start to see moments like Monty can be indecisive and defensive. Like, you know, Pompey doesn't deal well with the speedy outside men on that side. Like, what's your food for thought and those sort of stats coming out with you, bro? Like, where are you at?
I think we're kind of as a club in a space where obviously there's been some big moments in terms of injuries have happened. I think this last set of 3 games, for what it was it was a group of cup players and all of that, guys injured, and we pulled out. That was kind of like the storyline. I think that's probably what resonates with people. But at times, the early part, especially I remember the Canberra and Knights games feeling very solid defensively. We were able to keep them out. And obviously the result against a team that was the Rabbitohs. I think fundamentally we just have a team that's very good, but in some positions not elite. And I've talked to you about when you take one guy out of that spot to put him in another spot. Yes, you get some benefits in the new place that he's in, but you also lose some of his benefits on what he was doing in his previous position, i.e. probably forward. Defensively, maybe forward was doing a bit better. I don't know, but just in terms of just an example, you push forward to the right side to solve a problem there because of injury, and then you lose something out there on the left side. So it's like, because I think the quality of the team overall is quite good generally, with a few elite guys like AFB that just stand out, and will shine no matter what. But there are some players that you lose a bit. For me, like, for example, I thought RTS was good defensively as a centre.
Unreal.
Probably not as good as an attacking centre, whereas Pompey's brought that attacking centre, but he's still in his own right leaked some points down that edge due to foot speed and those things as well. So it's almost like we're not getting the complete package from one player. Some of our players have really good qualities and elements, and then but they're lacking something else. And the other player has those qualities and elements, but is lacking what that player has. So, But I think, as a team, we still haven't hit a consistent level. But I agree with you in terms of maybe statistically that run was a lot better the earlier run. I honestly think for me, this last run's been great because it's like opened the offense up to what we wanted. And it was great to see the cup guys come through, like the Roaches, Leotoas. It's just a shame they got injured, like really, really unfortunate. They had one game and we've missed them. So I think that kind of, for me, is the emotional side is probably in favor of this last run. But that first run maybe statistically was overall better. That's my kind of thought process around it.
Yeah. It's kind of like, that's kind of like what led me down this track is like the messages I usually get and like the comments that I usually see, and it always happens after a loss. It never happens usually before a win, all that sort of stuff. But is like the chop and changing of so many people that want, they see what the 3 week span of Tamati Martin, and it's been incredible to see that Tamati Martin like step up in that role, because it's now shown what Tamati Martin is for us, and it is more of that 7 role. He's a playmaker in that sort of role. He doesn't really suit that 6 role. It doesn't really suit his game at the moment. But like, you also can't chuck out what Sean Johnson did for the start of the season as well, and also late of the season last year, or what he did last year. It was the Dalian halfback of the year. Like, I don't know, like, I don't think that our attack was really bad over the weekend against the Melbourne Storm. I thought there was big momentum swings in the game, all that sort of stuff. But I think it just showed so much that Sean Johnson doesn't really play out the back like the old Sean Johnson could. he doesn't have the speed anymore. He doesn't really have that running game anymore. And like when it comes into defense, cutting down on his time really quickly on maybe 3-man in instead of being like 4-man in. Like he doesn't really work with that as well as being a halfback first off the ruck, first off a link man. Tamade, there's positives in it. Like we spoke about before, like the positive is the system is like bringing in halfbacks and making them look really, really nice. Like Tamade stepped in that position, looked incredible. Did so many similar things to what Sean Johnson did to start the season. The kicking game is relative, the difference in the kicking game, right? But the 6 jersey is the big one that a lot of people are going to be talking about is who is better? Like who can fill in that role that is like a Metcalf and that? And at the moment, I think the only one we got there is Chanel Harris-Tavita.
Yep.
But Chanel is so valuable too, also being that utility man and really holding down so many different positions. So there's so many talking points. It's kind of like we're probably going to go one more week here to see if Tamade Martin and Sean Johnson will work and see what really happened there. Because I don't know how many people noticed too, because I still get a message over. Everyone wants Tamade Martin in the 7 jersey, Sean Johnson in the 6 jersey. Numbers should not matter. If you watched over the weekend, Tamade Martin played 7. He played the first man role. Sean Johnson played the 6. It just doesn't suit either of those players being the backup man. It suits one of them being the big man and the other one being the one to key in. I think our attack looks so much better when we do have a 6 that sits back and just allows things to happen both ways. And what we kind of also seen is when Tamade goes in there in that 7 jersey, the left side seems to go really well if he's playing first off the ruck, and it works so much similar to the right side when Sean Johnson's in there. You know what I mean? So it's really, really tough to say what would really make this team work. But defensively is a big one I'm talking about because it's like that's where consistency comes from, is defense and attitude. Attack never brings consistency. It never has, never will. I don't know too many great attacking teams in the competition that hold a whole season that don't go up and down. You watch the Brisbane Broncos at the moment, they're struggling with that because their game is built. They forgot what their game was built around. It was like they used to be built around last year on cover tackles, scramble defense. They think it's all built around 3-man cutout balls out the back play from 50, 60 out. We're going to get around you. It's not that. You know what I mean? That's my whole thing on the argument.
I think there's, and I've pieced this together and come to kind of a conclusion for myself. I think ultimately, Sean and Tamade, we probably get to an end of the road and it probably won't work based on the fact that these two guys, and you talked about it off backstage, we talked about that they think almost alike. And if you see what you said was that Tamade almost looked like Sean when he was playing the role at first receiver, which is a credit to Tamade, credit to Sean, or vice versa. But ultimately, it's a credit to the system. Yeah. And you can probably take a little bit away from Sean based off of what Tamade has been able to do to win 3 straight. Yeah. So my big thing is those two probably think too much alike. And eventually, it will just come to a crossroads where it won't work. And what CHT will do is he will play that secondary role. And going back to your point about Sean, I think Sean will get injured playing that role.
100%.
He'll get whacked one time, and he's better on the ball, in my opinion, anyway. But the best role might be for CHT to take that. And he's got the left foot kick. He'll give you good, solid defense. He'll give you good energy, all of that. So Tamade probably should drop out. The big question I had was who was better at running the offense. Yeah, there came a point when Sean dropped out. They must have planned and thought about we need to balance this attack out. It's too right side dominant. You know, you set your shit. You know, we all saw it. We all knew it was going right. That Knights game was probably the epitome of like this is just rubbish. Because teams were keying on to it. And then it changed once Tamade took the reins. Now, the question is it because of Tamade that it's more balanced? Or is it just a change from the actual coaching staff implementing a new system or a new approach? And should Sean, if he comes in and fills in at that spot, should he just naturally balance both sides out anyway? That's the question for me. But if we get a Sean that comes back and it's again that right-sided type attack, then that sways to the argument that Tamade was more open to balancing everything out. But I ultimately think it was a coaching decision and that Sean should come back in. If he and CHT get on together, it should balance both sides of the ruck. I'm thinking.
Would you say, right, that this is kind of a tell on like the old school and the new school style of football, right? So we're playing with the link man, right? So we do have Dylan Walker or Tohu Harris that play in that 13 role, and it's been, spoken about how like sometimes that takes away from, halfbacks like a Sammy Walker and stuff like that. They play both sides of the ruck and really play those sort of sides. But if we were to make work, like cut the field in half, old school style is like, not a lot of people really like the style either, especially in the new day and age, but cutting the field down in half, we play link man both sides. So that's the way that the 13, the link man's supposed to play out. Sean holds down the right, Tamade holds down the left. Like that hopefully will work. But the only difference, what I would say, is Chance has got to swing both sides to make that attack work, in my opinion. If we see over the week, like, in moments of the weekend, the only time that attack really works is when you have a sweeping fullback out the back to create the over number. If you don't have that, as we saw in that early period with Tamade Martin playing that 6 role, that Metcalf was supposed to be like the second fullback where Shawnee was supposed to float both sides of the ruck. That's the way we started out the season. We've lost that completely with Tamade wanting to play one man off the ruck and not having a sweeping fullback to create the extra number, and it doesn't suit him playing out the back. Would it also play into the fact, do we maybe need to, again, the difference is we take away that link man and then have the halfback be the guy that sweeps both sides of the ruck, right? That would suit majority so much better of having that look instead of having Chance play both sides. You know what I mean? Like, so going off like, the attacking style of football, you watch the Panthers, the new age Panthers, they'll have like Nathan Cleary will try and play both sides of the ruck, but the old school Panthers used to have Nathan Cleary one side, Jerome Luai the other side, and Isaiah Yeo was linking everything together, right? And Dylan Edwards would only play on one side. He's never been a fullback to sweep both sides of the ruck. Yeah. Very similar to what we have. Chancey either sweeps on his right side all game, or he has a note of like what we saw in the last game. He was just stuck down that left side this time, and he showed he can make both work. Will our attack evolve into having Chancey sweep both sides instead of having the half sweep both sides? If that makes sense. Would that look better?
Yeah, I think ultimately it's a numbers game where you need. So there's ideally 3 out the back players typically. Mm-hmm. So you'll have your half. It might be you'll have your lock might be one, and your half, your fullback, and your other half. So there's 4 out the back players, right? Yep. Ultimately, you do need another out the back player on the left. So say if you're going to go right, like a sweeping play right off the far post, you still need someone out the back on holding for that side. And then you need to, I think it's a real balancing act. I'm trying to figure out the numbers of how it all would work. The other option I thought was that we'll get into the team list, but while we're there, like RTS is looking like he's in at the right center position. There was one little read that I saw that Berry was used kind of as a out the back option, kind of what CNK was on the right, and he kind of just got his timing a little bit. His spacing was off. He kind of didn't really understand. Play. Yeah, he didn't understand what the role, what he needed to do in that spot. The other option you could do is use Roger as that guy, and because we've seen it with Chance, he can do it both sides. It's really that, when the winger jams in, it's eluding the winger, right? It's making a split decision to either step him, cut back inside, or, flick the pass on. And I think maybe Rog might be good at that on the right side if you tee that up with Sean. And that, because Rog can step anyone with a split second. So that winger has to choose, do I go outside shoulder or do I go inside shoulder? And before you know it, RTS is either, beating you either way. So that might be another option to solve that problem on the right side. But from that, what I saw from that look with Berry kind of on the out the back there, I was thinking, I kind of see what they tried to do a little bit. And maybe it comes back to what you're saying, is just using someone else as that link player. But Roger would be good in that role on that right side.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of like the argument to where, like, if we get to a full strength squad, like, we're talking about Roger Tuivasa-Sheck coming off the bench and playing another fullback role and having, like, instead of having a link man in the middle, having the 2 fullback look of, like, defending. He's probably going to have to defend in the middle, do his job there, right? But when we go into our set plays, we'll have, like, a Tamade throw on that left side and have Roger out the back of that, or even Chancey out the back of that, because both will work that side. And then the opposite side will have Shawnee out the back with Chance. Because overall, like rugby league is a numbers game when you come to attack side of things, right? And the same with the defense. It's just a numbers game overall. But what I've noticed, especially in this period, just talking with you and talking this out, like where our attack seems to like falter a little bit is that we don't have a fullback that will go both sides of the ruck. And that's a system thing. It's not that Chancey can't do it, but it's just like he's like been put in a role to say, no, this is where you are, because at the very look like the best teams, like, you know, Dylan Edwards does exactly the same thing. There's not many fullbacks that do that look. We're just seeing that like Tamada and Sean Johnson are very much the same sort of people. They got to play one off the ruck. That's why the 6 is so important of playing that second fiddle role to be, you know, that's what we're missing with Metcalf. Metcalf was the guy that allowed Shawnee to play right side, left side, and play out the back of shape. And because his speed would burn people on the edge, it's majority a second fullback look of what you're thinking about, right? And then I thought Chanel did that fairly well with, you know, Tamati Martin playing like a very much a foil to Tamati Martin playing that second fiddle on that left side. But when we swept to the right, you know, Chancey was down that side adding that sweet man. So there's a lot of good things, food for thought there too. So, but yeah, the majority of it, like, you know, the conversation too is that fall off on defense is really where we've been hurt this year.
Big problem.
And it's kind of like, you know, I always think like, I always feel like fans so much focus on when our attack isn't going, like they want that. As soon as it starts going, the defense starts falling away. It kind of looks prettier to people, but it doesn't, like, it's not what wins games, if that makes sense. Like, that's the whole big thing to it. Is like when our defense was going well, our average win margin was 15.3. When our attack's going well, our average win margin, surprisingly, it's only 12 points. And you look at some of the best teams in the comp, like some of the best attacking teams, the Cowboys, the Storm. The Storm are like, you know, the Storm, you know, they're 10-3 up top of the comp and all that. But even then, they're having really close games because their defense just is like completely out in the water. Like 24 points we conceded to us. There's a Titans game earlier this season. It was 22-20 or whatever they were conceding there too. You know, the Titans are very similar. But defensively, if you have a strong defense, you should be able to get over the top of teams and find a lot of points towards the end of the game. It's usually how we were playing our best football. So there's a lot of food for thought, bro. Like, I feel like this is a really cool exercise because we're starting to figure out little things about our squad and all that and what we're really doing and what would really help our squad into the future. And it really, will it come to a cracking point of like, it's got to be either Sean Johnson or Tamati Martin. And we've got to choose who out of those two would help us in the future. You know what I mean? And I thought Sean was fairly good defensively on the weekend, but just an attack, he doesn't suit that 6 role. He really doesn't.
Yeah. I think the best 6, bro, like low key, was seeing K, bro, because he was assertive. He knew what his role was and what he wanted to do with the ball.
Yeah,
I felt honestly he was like the most assertive at the role, But I would sway to a CHT definitely with Sean ultimately, but that person that whoever's running that left side or whatever it is, they got to be strong and commit but they because the offense is so triggered by the lock and the half. Like, honestly, it was because of Tamaida that everything, whether it was a coaching thing, it doesn't matter. He still activated both sides, balanced it out.
He did.
That was on him and probably Walker, I think. That's where I would love to see Sean come in and just see that balance continued.
Yeah.
The good thing with Tamati, and that's why I want to see Sean do it, because it would tell me a lot. Tamati had different types of kicks. He had these little improvised grubbers, all different angles too. That's what I want to see what Sean would do with that kind of approach. He'd definitely do it differently to Tamati, and I just think it's just two different people. But we need to see that. We need to see it on the field. We need to see Sean and CHT to know the answer.
And it's not like we don't, like, it's not like Sean Johnson hasn't got that in his repertoire. No, like coming through the season, we know Shawnee's got a grubber in him. We know Shawnee's like, that, but it's kind of like, it feels like the start of the season, there were so many different things of like, we were so defensive minded. We locked into our defense and we're so focused on that to where our attack was so predictable and we wanted to go down the right side. But what that helped so much was our defense, like tenfold. The bomb in the corner was the main thing everyone kept talking about. It's like, is Sean Johnson going to come in and just continue to put a bomb in the right corner? We're going to chase it. But that was some of our best football there defensively because we locked a team down in the corner and we really held them into their own end, right? That was a big thing. As soon
People were
as we
sick of
started,
defense. People were tired of us
exactly.
being defensive, bro. That's a good point. That's a
People
good
don't
point.
like seeing like the Warriors defensively. They really don't, because we've always
Yeah.
been known as a team that throws the football around and stuff. But that was where our big success was defensively. And then we started to unlock our attack a little bit more. You think about the Roosters game, stuff like that, where, the Roosters blew us out early, where you were unable to see Sean Johnson really see with this both side of the ruck what he was talking about before that. Because I think we saw little pieces of that before he got the pec injury. But like, as soon as we get our attack into the game where you want kicks left, right, and center, you start to see where the defense starts to fall apart too, is because our defensive shape, when you start kicking in multiple different areas of the game, you got to get your line set as best as you can and umbrella defense some teams into multiple different areas there. And the big game I can really point out to that was the KP Knights game when we had Chanel in there, and Chanel had those couple of moments where he put a kick in and straight down KP's throat. And when KP gets a space with a damaged defensive line, he's going to hurt you every single time. So it's the yin and the yang, you know what I mean? It's really got to be the balancing act. And this is where Webby's got to come in and really figure this out too, because there's a lot of talking points on like, who's the better half? What's the better game plan? What are we going to go with? What's our identity? Last year, I felt like our identity was defense. It was. I felt like now it's starting to sway a bit more to be like, we want to get back to our attacking football. But it's just I don't know if it suits us with the team that we're trying to build. I really don't.
I think honestly, and I've noticed this in Webby's comments. Like he is trying to solve problems sometimes that the media and the pressure is putting on him. I think Webby does like to give a comment where it kind of calms and quells the fan base. Like he was big on saying, "Yeah, we're going to balance up the field." I was like, we don't really necessarily need to know that, but the fact that you felt to tell that maybe feels like there was a bit of pressure on, like, whether it's internally or externally, it doesn't really faze me. But I felt a bit of pressure to maybe that they had to solve that. But ideally, it's like you said, the defense we have this year is not the same, not even close to what we were doing last year. We were repelling teams back, like we were really solid on our edges. And yeah, this team has lost a bit of that aura. Well, definitely, because we were leaking points so quickly. Teams are keyed onto our weaknesses and how to attack us, and what is the answer to that? Obviously, probably instilling it or being better. But obviously, if you got to bring in new players to improve that, then that's what you do. It's just a really tough. I think that whole injury period was like really unstable, and he was searching for stuff like left, right, and center. That's how many changes we had. Yeah. That's my thoughts anyway, bro. What do you think about that?
There's 2 points on that, right? So our defense was there to start the season, and we all see it through the stats. It was there. The changing of the guard was the Manly game and the Dragons game. That Manly game took a lot out of us, the amount of injuries. That Dragons game really, really hurt us. Like, to start the season, from round 1 to 6, we were scoring 22 points per game, which is fairly around our average, what it is right now. We were conceding 15.6 points per game. That's in that 6-game average. Now go from round 6 to 15, we were scoring 21.7 points per game. So that's adding in even our best attacking streak there. It couldn't lift our average there, but we're conceding 24.8 points per game conceded. And that's where the changing of the guard really happened defensively. Like, we were a defensive team to start the season. It just felt like when all the injuries started to come into effect, a lot of people had a lot of questions with our game plan. A lot of people had a lot of questions overall with our team. We chopped and changed, but was it for the better? Was it for the worse? I think it definitely will be for the better. I'm sure Webby's a smart enough coach and all that. And I think the second point we're going to bring up to you, and I hope no fans take us too hard or anything like that, because I've spoken to you about this before, but there's an amazing documentary, guys. If you watch the Dolphins documentary and you say Wayne Bennett had a really, really cool thing to say in that documentary. He got interviewed by, a journo, and he was talking about how, like, the fans want this, fans want that. And Wayne said, the smartest thing overall is if you start listening to the fans, you're going to be sitting with them. You're a head coach. If you got a plan, you put your plan to effect and you don't waver on that. You do what you got to do. And that's what Wayne does so well. This is what Webby's got to learn as well. And I felt like a little bit of that crumbled, especially in that 4-game stint where it felt like, even though a lot of people are saying we're doing the same thing, not a lot of people are seeing the changes that we were doing there as well, and the differences with our attacking shapes and things that were really going on in that period. So Yeah, there's a lot to unpack in that period, but I'm sure the more that comes through, even if we see in the Titans game this weekend, who knows? We may run out and have a really good attack and really good defense. Who knows, guys? But just from the stats that we're looking at here,
Yeah.
I still believe defensively our best period was definitely the start of the season, as shown by the stats. It's just whether we want to say that that was our best part of the season, or was it the best part when we started to see our attack flourish, but our defense fall away. That's my whole thing.
Cool. Hey man, this is awesome discussion. I think we could go on for a couple of hours. I would
100%.
I'd love to do a deep dive maybe in the next buy and just like spend 6 hours straight just breaking down every detail, every game. But I hope you guys enjoy. I know everyone's going off in the chat. We appreciate you. Everyone's got different opinions. That's cool, man. That's what it's all about. We're only giving our view, but it's cool to hear everyone else as well. So, but guys, if you are in here, please give us a like and subscribe. Can we get up to 50 likes, please? While you're enjoying and watching, just click that like button right there. And if you are here for the first time, give us a subscribe as well. Massive chat, bro. I really enjoy it. I'm really enjoying it. But I think we'll just hit this team list quickly and get our thoughts on it. And yeah, another host of changes due to injury. Origin, bro. Origin's finally messing with us, bro. Like, seriously. Like, we've been the anti-Origin club for all time. You never come here if you want to get an Origin start. And now we've got 2 guys out. Like, man. Let me just bring this team list up, guys.
Do you know what the last period was too, bro, that we had 2 Origin contingents? Pretty sure last time I remember it was 2015, I think. It was, remember we had, was it 2015 or maybe a little bit earlier? We had Ryan Hoffman and we had Jacob Lilliman. That was the last period we had 2 Origin out. So that's incredible. Like, who would have thought that Kurt Capewell would have got a spot, especially the way he's playing with us to start the season and that. But it just shows that Billy, like, definitely values his habits. And that's something that maybe we should start looking at again as well too. So there's little things that we probably aren't seeing as well that Billy's seeing that maybe we could utilize Kurt Capewell a little bit better. I'm not too sure, but it's just crazy to see him in that squad.
Yeah, I think what was it? I was hearing Cooper Cronk talk about Billy, and Billy apparently watches every game of a Queenslander. So he's obviously seen something in Capewell. He knows Capewell. Capewell's done a job for him. He's probably thinking, you're not going to play, but I know when you come on for that 10, 20 minutes or whatever, I might use you. Similar to what Cobbo wasn't really doing, might have been activated completely. But yeah, I think, interesting, but it does impact. It's first time it's impacted us 2 in a row, man. And actually, and Barney's 18th man, so he's not going to be released either. So,
I know. It's the worst.
Is he trying to get back? Is he trying to get back at us? Does Madge and Slater have something against us? Is Slater still pissed off about Manu taking him out, ending his career?
Surely the 16-game win streak they have on us, the Melbourne Storm, he should let that go. Madge, on the other hand, Madge, you can just stop that, please. Stop taking our man, put him 18th man. At least play him or like give it back to us, please.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, let's get back into the squad lineup. Chan's at the back, Kossi and right wing, and Roger looks at like it's right center. We'll talk about that soon. Pompey and Montoya on their left edge. Tamati and Sean, we just had a big talk about that. The coach is persisting with that. Now Adam Fennell, Blake Wade, Egan, and Jackson Ford makes your front row with Marata. Dylan Walker, talk about that, and Tohu Harris in the back row. And your bench is Chanel, Jacob Laban, great for Jacob to come back in, Jazz, and Tom Ale. 18th man is Bunty at the moment. But let's start with the back line, bro. I mean, big one is obviously Dallin got suspended and Berry obviously with an injury. Kossi comes in for that wing spot. Are you happy with that decision? I know there's a lot of talk about other potential wingers in the club that are playing well in Cup or in the SG Ball. Is this a hierarchy type decision, or is this kind of Kossi brings what we need at this stage?
I think for sure this is a hierarchy sort of thing. I think this is like Gossi getting the spot over a lot of these boys, maybe in preseason. There's a lot of things he's done, but I still haven't seen a really good couple of weeks back to back from Gossi in Cup to really say to him to really get him back into lineup. And even when he steps up into rugby league, like into first grade, like he hasn't had the groundbreaking performances. He's like, you know, a couple of errors here and there. There was a lot of big moments. Obviously the Roosters game is a big one to note. And I feel for him a little bit, but there's still a lot of talk whether he can be, you know, a first grade winger. And at the moment, I sway to the side of like maybe not at the moment. So for me, I'd rather see probably, you know, even like thoughts of like, I know a lot of people, I want to persist obviously with Roger in center, but if it ever came down to this, I'd rather put Roger to wing and then have maybe Graham Dulfer play in that center role. And the other one you could throw up was maybe Chance on like moving to the center and having Tuapiki in that fullback role. I've seen a lot of people think about that, and like that would be nice. I'd never have loved Chance Nickel-Klokstad at that center. Like, you know, he played okay there to start his career, obviously with us, and then went to the Raiders and became the fullback we all know and love. But we've seen him in the for the Kiwis. Was it the World Cup? You ran him at that center. It just didn't look good to me. I didn't like it. Nah, so I would rather see a different option than Gossi, but if he's going to run out in there in football field and have a jersey on, I'm going to fully support him. I know everyone else will, but they're my honest thoughts about Ed Gossi at the moment. I just don't think he's there yet. What's your thoughts, bro?
I mean, I love Ed. I thought again, going back to his first run, he had that monster run. Where was it for? I think it was a Cowboys game and that Panthers game until he got in the Sharks game against Mulatalo, where he kind of got on top of him, and I thought there was a boost of his confidence. I don't, that injury that he's had, he hasn't quite found his form since then. Which is a shame. But yeah, kind of a hierarchy one, I'd say, based on what I understand from Webby and his selections. Up against a Cam Pereira and Brian Kelly.
Speed.
Kind of scares me a little bit what those two will end up deciding to do. You know, they'll probably go hit that left side early, long range, everything. Yep. So not filling me with confidence. But you know, like you said, the coach was it. If you start caring about what everyone else thinks, you start sitting in the stands, and you gotta just with them. Yeah, you gotta back Webby on this, even though we may disagree. But yeah, I'll probably pick Roger as well on the wing, just based on his work rate to be able to get his yardage carries. I think Koss has to hit the ground running, but he has to limit his errors. He has to, and his decision making has to be on. Like, for our wingers, the biggest problem with them is making bad decisions. They all can run out of yardage. They all, they can decently finish. Dallin being obviously the best, but it's those decisions that they make that really cost us at times. So for me, he's just got to be sharp.
But I think what would help him though is if he is on that right side, I do prefer Rog, like just the experience of Rog having him there, and even if he's defending at center, like I've really enjoyed seeing Roger defending at center, rewatching some of the games where he was playing center there. He really tries to cut down space on the opposite center, and for someone like we're going to be coming up against Brian Kelly, from I'm pretty sure, by team list, Brian Kelly, and he gives so much space to AKP on that side. He's chopped up some of the better centers, getting on the outside and giving AKP so much space. Roger will cut down his time so much and may help Gossi to sit on his wing a little bit more. And it just shows that that's what comes down to our system is like, I felt like that's what happened with like Dal and Barry at moments is Barry likes to defend outside shoulder. He cuts down low. When Dal sees a player that's like hitting overs on Rocco, the system says he's got to come shut it down. He cuts back in. That's the reason why wingers dart in, is that's the system that they put into place. If you have Roger getting up there and getting in front early, that stops that winger from really pushing in. So it's really on Gossi to just stay on his wing. So I'm excited. Like I'm a little bit more positive in that sense of having Roger there than having Bompy there, because Bompy likes to also allow people on the outside because he's got long limbs to really take him out late. He's like that sort of player, and sometimes it gets caught him short, and that's what it gets our wingers caught in system-wise to dart in really early. So that's my opinion. I think Roger defensively will help out Gossi on that side, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think I was listening to Rennie Matua, actually. He's talking about how Suoli kind of got it wrong, was that he went with his right shoulder. Heading, knocking out, what's his name? What's his name again? Walsh, sorry.
Reece Walsh.
Whereas technically he should have hit him with his left shoulder. And I think Randy was talking about on the edges, it's so different both edges. What you're
Mm.
looking at, your peripheral vision, your spacing, your footwork, your timing. Um, so yeah, it's a big job for Roger to go on there, right? And I've seen the footage, and I've trying to like, the little Instagram reel that the club put out just like a couple hours ago. He
Yep.
was looking like he was going to be right center, like so he's. I think from what the shape that he was showing it kind of felt like it was definitely going to be right. So that's
Well,
what they've gone.
he was taking kicks, bro, and he was jumping off his left, and the body bag was on his right side. So
That's right. Yep.
that would show me that he's more so on that right side, whether it is wing or center, because he was doing a lot of kick drills there too. So whether that was another option, but he was also doing a lot of like square up passing drills too. So maybe that shows a center look there too. But yeah, the real question is if Gossi is going to be that wing really coming into this. I really do think. I think if he's been named there, we'll say, but we know Webby, like as soon as he gets to 24 hours, this team can change significantly. And I think we're going to get touch on that, especially with our forward pack here.
Yeah. Do you think ultimately Roger will play a better game? Does he have a point to prove it? If he's going to play a center, do you think he has to have a massive game to kind of justify that decision to continue him at center?
The competitor in Roger should say to him to come out here and really put a point to like having Adam Pompey step up in that position on his side. And a lot of people are now questioning him at center. You know what I mean? Like him coming in now, he wants to be the guy. He's the one that went to Webby in the preseason and said, I want to play center with you. And Webby was like, all right, this is the things I can see with you there. He like, Webby came out and said, he never came to me and said he wanted to play fullback. He wants to be a center. So he's persistent on it. I'm sure his competitive side in him would be like, I want to show everyone that I can be the best player, the best center I can be.
Yeah. Well, hey, no better chance, man, than right now. But yeah, so Pompey, Montoya, you pretty happy with that? Any improvements that they can ultimately work on those two?
For me, it's still down defensively. Like, there's moments where they have really good moments, but again, I know a lot of people had the rosy-colored glasses in a couple of moments with Pompey and Montoya on that side, but I really do think that Marcelo can get really itchy on that side, especially system-wise. When Pompey gets beaten a couple of times, you start to see him really hold inside, then really hold his width. And we saw that with the Mira try over the weekend with the Storm. So I'm sure they're going to be solid because on that side, Phil Sami's going to do a job on that side too. So we got to shut him down early. A lot of speed on that edge too with Jojo Fafita, good athleticism. But Monty and that should be able to shut down boys like that. I think the key point for the Titans would be attacking down our right edge with Roger and Gossi on that side. So still, I would love to see a little bit more improvement and combination there defensively because I think attacking wise, that combination is actually really solid.
So going into the halves tomorrow, I think we covered that. I think we'll move on. We talked a ton about that. Fanel, Blake, Egan, Ford. You still happy with Ford and that kind of? I talked a little bit of just being devil's advocate. I felt the Storm kind of manhandled him a bit,
Yep.
from a strategy point of view and physically.
Yep.
I think he's definitely going to come up against a pack that he kind of suits and be able to play that. But you ultimately, you happy with what he's doing?
Yeah, I'm still happy with what he's getting through, and at the moment, I haven't seen too many moments where he's stepped a foot wrong to concede a lot of big moments. If that makes sense. Usually, he's like, it's probably why as we spoke about, to start the season, why he was probably preferred as that guy to clean up the ruck wherever it is, like clean up the side, the edge, or left side, right side, because he is a guy that just works tirelessly in the middle and doesn't really stop standard. Like he doesn't stop, he moves his feet a lot. So I do like him for that middle, and it's good to see that even with the game plan, this is probably it's probably gonna bite me in the ass saying this too because this could definitely change at 24 hour. But it's good to see Webby's persisting with, all right, he's a front rower now. We're gonna persist with him being a front rower and just keep working at him because he's got the skill and ability to make a really good front rower, in my opinion.
No, I actually really love him, and like I said, you're just not going to win every matchup. But still, he wasn't the reason why we lost or we weren't doing well. He was actually really, really good.
Yeah.
But sometimes just physically up against a certain packs, he might not be as strong as what That's just my view anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. Just quickly on Egan, bro. I think he's been low key, like really solid. the last couple
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah.
Like he just seems healthy and like playing well. Um, I'm enjoying what he's doing at the moment.
Well, he's
From a
definitely
from a
finding his
totality.
feet. Yeah, he's definitely finding his feet now, bro. You're starting to notice that he is starting to get back to his ruck deception, or like, when the markers are one marker down, stuff like that. That's his cue. Bang, he'll start running with the ball, and good things come off the back of that. Because I still believe our best attack, the way it looks, is through the middle when we have Wade Egan, just our dummy half, and you have boys like, Rogers back, but you have like, Dallin, all these boys feeding off the back of him when we have Metcalf there. Like, that's the best part of our attack that I love. So it's good to see Wado get his feet back under him and get through some work here.
And then Dylan Walker. So he's probably going to the left side, I would imagine. He'll be on their left edge with Pompey and Montoya and Tamaide. Is that right, bro?
For me, bro, this one's a smokescreen.
Yeah, you
I
think it's
can't
yeah,
see.
yeah. Don't think it's
I
gonna
can't
happen. Yeah.
see any way that we're going to run out there, especially with Dylan Walker being hampered with a lot of niggling injuries over the weekend. There was a
Yeah.
little bit of a chat whether he would get rested for minutes and stuff like that in this game. So I'll look at Jacob Laban being a guy that will probably come in and play the edge back role. And this is why I was saying he'll probably bite me in the ass. But we also got Jackson Ford there that could play that edge back role. It's just I don't know what Webby's going to be thinking about, if he's going to chuck Laban in there for a full game, or what's the real thought there? Because we don't have any edge cover either on the bench other than Tom Arles played a lick there. But you know what I mean?
Well, even the reserves at the moment, Dimitrik's probably the only one. Well, he's more of a
That
middle type
can.
forward. Or he can play edge a
He's
little bit, Dimitrik.
Yeah, well, he's playing a lot of middle currently right now in Carp. And then like he can shift to an edge. There's been moments where Leka Halasima will come off for a stint or something like that, and he'll get run on the right edge. I haven't seen him on the left edge too much, but he's definitely got the ability to do that, especially his ball playing. Like he's got good ball playing. He's strong. He's a big body, so he could possibly do that if he's a late change in.
I actually got no problem with like Laban starting. I like the kid. He's not going to play
Me too.
long minutes, but once you mix and match it, you can send Ford out there where you bring Dylan Walker on in the middle. There's Tom
Yep.
even can go do a little stint for 10, 15 on the edge. You
Yep.
can mix and match it. You can definitely mix and match it. So
100%.
I think that is a
100%.
smoke screen, bro. He's too valuable with that in the middle there, man. He just
Yeah.
but he's getting nicked up a little bit. And I talked about this last week. I said it's just a matter of keeping both him and Tohu healthy. Like that's the only way you're gonna kind of get through. And he got a little bit
Exactly.
nicked up, and I was like, oh man, this is just a bit of a it's a bit disappointing to see him get nicked up. He's not quite his lower legs too, and the lower limbs. We know all about that. That's the worst injuries you can get. So I'm a bit worried that yeah. Do you think he might drop out, bro, or
Story.
do you think he just goes back into the starting lock role?
First point there, bro. Story of our season. Like, just we haven't had a full strength squad at all this season, and we're yet to have we still have moments of players stepping up and looking to the ability of last year, but they just haven't had to do it for a long stint due to injury. But yeah, like I could see him just dropping to a bench and having limited minutes for a couple of weeks there, and Tohu playing a little bit better. Like Tohu does look a little bit fresher. Like he's coming off that injury and stuff. He looks a little bit fresher for the middle. But yeah, I think Dylan will probably get his minutes limited until he gets back to full health. I don't think we'll drop him completely out. I don't think so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, we'll go into this bench though. CHT, Laban, Tavanga, Ale. I'm personally happy to see Ale back.
100%.
Surprising that he's over Bunty. Is Bunty just coming back from injury, or is it kind of a hierarchy thing now that Ali has surpassed him?
Well, he played over the weekend and had a really strong game and cut Bunty. He ran for 15 runs, 147 meters, played a decent chunk. Like Dimitrik didn't play a big chunk there, 36 minutes of that. Bunty played 53. So injury wise, that kind of puts a cross into that. Maybe Ale just suits that role a little bit better.
That could be a smoky too. Bunty might drop in.
He might drop in too.
Bunty's a better middle forward cover.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do see, like, as I said, it bite me in the ass saying before, but Jacko going to an edge, Bunty starting front row, being an 18-man sitting there. I wouldn't be surprised.
We know Webby loves a smoky. He does love a A spliff. That's the no. He's all about the smoky old Wibby. You ultimately happy with? I mean, we kind of talked about. Eventually, I think it will be Sean and CHT. But are you
Mm,
happy with CHT playing that role over Lussick at the moment? I suppose
yeah.
Lussick has a shout because he can cover Egan if he does have an injury. Whereas I suppose Chanel gives you more of that versatility.
Mm.
You happy with that?
Yeah, yeah. At the moment, with what our squad entailed, like, the amount of injuries and all that sort of stuff, like Chanel is our best utility in my opinion. Like, he can play in that hook role if you have to, or if anything does happen in the centers, wings and stuff. Like, the new age of footy needs a player like this that can cover our outside backs. Like we saw in Origin, anything can happen. An outside back can drop out. If we didn't have him, like, we could probably cover with Dylan Walker and all that, but carrying injuries, I reckon it will struggle. I think he's our best 14 that we can cover so many different positions, and he does a good job at it too. I like him in the middle. I thought that stint he had with Melbourne in the middle, he looked pretty good in there too. Like, he looked jumpy, the energy
He
was
picked
high.
it up. He picked it up. You could tell when he came on, he picked the energy up, and that's why I think he could ultimately work really well with SJ as that energy six, like that kind of like
Mm,
that nice counter to. I think ultimately to Mighty and Sean are thinkers of the game, and whereas you
yep.
kind of need a half like a CNK that just like he's a doer, and I
I
think
just attack.
Yeah, a CHT is more of that I'm a doer, like and he's a thinker also, but he's like and that left foot kick, I've always been harping on about it. People were giving me slack, nah, he's rubbish, he's a crap player at the start of the season when I pointed out preseason, but that left foot kick
Yep.
is very handy. It's a very handy tool,
Yeah.
which is in his favor too.
He's
So
got such a unorthodox strike of the ball too. Like, I don't know what it
yeah,
is. When I see other kickers of the ball, I'm just like, they're so smooth with it. He's so unorthodox in a lot of his movements, but it helps him so much too, because a lot of people don't know really what he's going to do. Like, he can come off his left foot after hitting like a goosey, or like he's one of those players that brings energy, involvement. But you're right, that left foot kick out does prove, you got versatility both sides, the way you kick a ball, and yeah, it's good to see.
yep. Okay, I think that's a good. I'm pretty happy. I agree with you. The smoke screens are that Bunty will come in,
Yeah.
probably even start push forward to the left, and then that bench should. You can obviously change Dylan out or whatever you want to do with Tohu.
Mm.
Yep. No, pretty happy with that.
Would you
Let's
say, bro,
okay.
like a quick question on it, because we got Murata near Corte, obviously, and not a known 80-minute back rower, and we don't have any edge back
Oh,
rower cover either on the bench. Like, if like forward does go to an edge, that probably helps that look a lot better. But if we didn't do that, like, Laban's probably going to have to play an 80-minute role on a side as well. You know what I mean? Like, our rotation is completely out because we miss Barney and Catewell that are both long minute forwards that we can stick there and hold out for the rest of the game. So that's what I mean. The smoke screen is just going to say it's there. Like, Bunty on our bench, like our reserves, even Dimitri, like, I don't know, like it just shows that there is a lot more that's going to go into this team list, and it could definitely change, like, even more than what we think about coming into the game.
like I'm pretty much sure Laban's going to play because he gives
Yeah.
you that back row option. Um, but I think there'll be enough cover there. They'll figure it out. Dylan Walker's actually kind of key. You kind of need him
Mm,
because if Murata goes off, one of those guys goes down. You got enough forward cover to really like the middle forwards like Jazz, Tom, Bunty, if you go that way. But you need an extra, and Dylan might push out to an edge if someone goes down. Murata will just have
mm.
to just stick it out as long as he can, or they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. There's enough there, but yeah, I agree. You probably would have loved to have gone one more back row, but yeah,
Plus, I was
I
so
think
sure when I first saw the reserve team list, bro. I thought we had Leka Halasima in there as well, and I was
I thought
waiting.
so
I
too.
don't know if it, I don't
It
know if it cut
changed.
off or whatever. But
It changed.
like, bro, if you've been watching a lot of Leka, like I love Leka. I've been watching him for SG Ball and all that. But like, what he's doing in Cup at the moment, like out of all our like young kids that are coming up, like Sifakula, I think is probably the top of the echelon of our young kids coming up. Leka is the one I'm watching. Like, I think he's got more potential for me than Laban. I think Laban's incredible. He's a big body and all that, but Leka has just something special to him. I'm waiting for him to come through. Reminds me so much of Jeremiah Nenai, but with like an aggressive edge. And I'm really, really excited to see if he gets any sort of shot. But again, he's not in the reserves there. And I don't think he'll have the jump on Laban due to that hierarchy and who's won these roles. But man, Lecker, I would love to see him out there, bro, because in Cup on the weekend, 155 run meters. Pretty sure he scored a try. And if you watch his tries, like the highlights, like last week or the week before, I think it was against the Bears, he just ran through two blokes that had solid contact on him. Bang, bumped them off straight through.
What is he?
Solid,
Is he an
bro.
edge, left edge or right edge? What is he?
Can play both sides. More majority on the right edge.
Okay.
Yeah, he could play right. He could play left. I think in the Roosters game he played left, and on the Bears game played right. It's wherever you want to chuck him on an edge, he can play there. But his best ability also is in the air, bro. So put a kick up in the air, he comes down with it. Reminds you very much of Jeremiah Nanai.
See, what I love about developing guys, right, is that they have and I was listening to these guys that do soccer stuff, and when you're in development, they try to get you play almost 2 or 3 positions in football.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we should be doing a lot of is getting guys opportunities. Like like you're saying, he's played right and left edge. That's really good. That's actually really awesome. I think Webby's like these. I love these guys to come up in a group. Ultimately,
Yeah.
like how Penrith kind of did theirs with Luai and Cleary and all those and Critter and Bizza. I'd like them to come in as like year levels and
100%.
and ultimately, there will be a change in the guard. And I think ultimately the model that we'll eventually have is that we'll probably release a few of the Aussie guys. If these guys
100%.
we'll continue to recruit good Aussie players, like Barnett's going to be hanging around. That's awesome. All those guys. But eventually there'll become a point, if you do it right, that you should be able to hold on to these guys. Now, you won't hold on to all of them because that's just history says the Roosters will have their fair share. But, with what we've got set up so far, we should be able to. Eventually, the model should be that we get them through. But I think Webby's going to leave him probably for another year, I suppose.
Yeah, he probably will.
But you would love to see it that way. Yeah,
I'd love to see it because I think he's ready enough. But again, I agree with you. I think the whole premise of what this year was supposed to be before the injuries and all that, I know a lot of people were wanting a grand final at the end of this year. We saw a lot of improvement in that. But I think Webby's true plan was to have more experienced players around the squad. So when these young boys come up, they've got experienced players to play under, and then they come up together as a group. And that was my thought process and all. But when we have injuries go down and all that, I know a lot of people want to see Zion Ma'u's, who's currently out for a long period, but Jacob Laban's and, these guns that we have that are looking incredible at the moment. Just throw another name in there. Leka Halasima, guys. Like, our future is so strong if these boys continue to develop. And the best sign out of it too is all these boys. Zion said after the game, like, we made a pact to be New Zealand Warriors. Like, we want to be Warriors coming forward. So that's what you want to hear. And hopefully we do see that for a 5-10 year block of just full on success because they're killing it in their grades.
But yeah, if I'm a back rower, like in SG ball, and if I'm the coach, I'm playing both of them, both sides. Like, whenever, and get them used to playing multiple positions because that gives you just so much variety and ability. Eventually, you'll get really good at one side. Like Brittany Cordero or Nanai is really good on that right side. But it's nice to have see the game from both sides of the field and all that. All that learning that you can get from it. But yeah, it's exciting. It's definitely exciting. Okay, my man. Hey, just quickly, everyone. Great seeing you guys in the chat. Sorry, I'm not pulling up all the comments and we're not able to get to it. We're just loving talking. But if you are guys here, give us a like and subscribe. Get us up to 50 likes. I'm not sure where it's at right now, but minimum 50. We'd love to get a minimum 50, and if anything after that's a bonus. But just quickly, there were some questions to see if we've answered. We might have answered. Jose's saying, where's Bunty and would you put RTS on the wing since Dallins stood down? We did talk about that. Respect you to you, Jose. I think we kind of covered that. Tan's saying, this was earlier, is it me or am I the only one here? Because I can't see any comment. It might have been Tan's, but I'm not sure what's happening. I even found that maybe YouTube's been playing up a little bit. And just quickly, guys, those that usually giving super chats, we're not asking for super chats, but I know a lot of you guys are being kind to do that. But yeah, I've just had a bit of a mess up with me and YouTube at the moment, and we'll get the super chats, but build it up. Save your money every week, and then do a big splash when it gets activated. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I know a lot of you guys would love to do that, but at the moment it's just the YouTube. There's been some behind the scenes stuff I'm trying to work out with YouTube, but we appreciate the love, no matter if it's a super chat or not. We appreciate the love.
100%.
Mel's saying, and there wasn't a queue at this up, but I just thought this was good. I heard Dylan Brown was joining us 2026. That is the word on the street. What was quick thought
Yeah.
on that, Ash? From you,
I've
I kind of said my piece last night, and I like it. But a lot of people are saying we've got enough cover. We've got TMM. We've got all these guys coming through. The thing is, for me,
mm,
he is a good six. He
mm,
is a he's a Kiwi six. He's good at that role.
yeah.
But we have signed Metcalf. We've got people talking about Jet Cleary,
Yep.
all that stuff. What's your thoughts on it, bro?
See, bro, I must have been completely dark on it. I've seen the word get around on Twitter and stuff like that, like comment section and stuff like that, but I just left it to like comment section talk on like people just going like Dylan Brown's coming in, like we've seen it like multiple times. But again, I sit with the same thought as you, bro. Like if we do that, unfortunately, that would mean that would have to lose someone like a Metcalf to Mighty Martin, one of these boys that we have stuck solid with currently right now. And I do love the investment we're putting around Luke Metcalf. And I do believe he'll be our best future 6 or 7 coming up. And I'd rather us focus on him and his development and get him there than bring Dylan Brown in. I love what Dylan Brown brings. I don't think he's that overrated. A lot of people do think he's overrated. I think he's one of the best sixes in the competition. He's not the best 7. He's not the best playmaker. He's not the best half. He's a 6. He loves to play out of the back of shape. Defensively, he's unreal. And the way he runs the football is incredible as well. I just don't think for us, he's going to ask for big money. I think it puts our cap out of shape. And just the way we're looking at the moment, we're growing for a future. I think for now, yeah, I wouldn't touch him, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And yeah, the money aspect would be way too big. Just quickly, strictly was this is gold. I was going to ask where the super chat was, boys. Been trying to donate my liver for the last 3 weeks. Oh, you're a legend, brother. That is legendary. I'll ask this one quickly. Do we Pete? Thank you, Pete. Do we reckon SJ is going to bring his magic this weekend?
I hope so. I hope so.
I think we're a little bit. I think we're not too sure. I think like that pause made us feel like we're a little bit concerned. What do you think?
And it's not on Shawnee either. I think it's just a combination. No. I just don't know if that's working. But like Shawnee does his best work against the Gold Coast Titans. We've seen it in the past. Like usually he steps up against Gold Coast. Yeah, I hope so. That right side, if it is running what we're looking on paper, Sean Johnson, Ratani Kore, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck on that side, like that combination of those, like that sounds incredible. But yeah, wait and see. I hope so, brother. I really do hope so. What are your thoughts?
I'd love it. But yeah, I honestly, I've come to that kind of conclusion that the ultimate halves pairing was it just won't click to what we think it will be. I'll be excited to see if we see anything new. And I ultimately don't think it was that bad on the Melbourne game. I thought defensively we just, obviously we talked about horrible, but I think it will run its course at some stage. But like Webby brought up the thing that they only had 2 sessions to kind of justify it, maybe. But at the same time, looking forward to seeing just what they've decided to go for it. Let's see what they can, see what we can get from it. That's all. We're at the hands of what they're deciding to do. It is what it is. So, 100%. Let's get into this combined 17 people.
Let's go.
Titans, bro. Just quickly on Titans while I'm setting this up. How do you think they've been tracking?
They
had 3 wins. Is that what people are saying? 3 wins from
last couple of weeks, not good, but very last couple of weeks, not good. They've really fallen off the pace. The Tigers game, they had like 9 lie breaks in that game, bro. Couldn't convert, couldn't get the win over the Tigers, who have been really down on form and had a lot of first graders out in that team. But I would say coming into this weekend, they still are a team to worry about. The speed that they've got there, they got Dave Fafita back that didn't have last week. And by the looks of it, seeing in the reserves there, Tanner Boyd is sitting in that 18th man. I wouldn't be surprised maybe if he's a late switch in and see what they look at there. And Tanner was really good against us if he gets that kicking game going and stuff. There is things to worry about. It's still an NRL first grade squad. But if we play our best football, we should be able to beat the Gold Coast Titans.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into it anyway. What we got here? It is Keanu Kinney versus Charles Nickel Clockster. I think Northcote Tiger, old Keanu, and he's been playing good, man.
He's been good, man.
I saw him against, was it the Manly game or one of the games? He played really well. I think they ended up winning. He came
Yep.
back in the last couple of minutes and scored some tries or set some tries up. Wasn't afraid to put his body on the line for me.
No.
But where would you sit on this? I'll probably sit with C&K ultimately.
Yeah, I'd say CNK. He's like a little bit more evolved as a fullback. He's got a bigger body. He gets through a lot more work. Like Keeney gets through a ton of work. He's still a small body. He's one of those players like very much like a Chuapiki when he first came into the competition. Jaden Campbell probably knocks that a little bit because like, tackle break ability, but he doesn't have that fully yet. I think his speed gets his tackle breaks, but his body wise, because he's so small and stuff, he's still yet to get used to contact in rugby league. But a great talent for the future, bro. Like he's just lightning, beautiful footwork. But you got to go Chancey, bro. Chancey's just so solid in all areas of playing a fullback.
Yes, no, totally agree. Right wing, Kossi versus Jojo Fafita, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
Where Jojo's pretty decent, if I'm
I
being
like
honest.
Jojo. I like
Yeah,
Jojo a
I'll
lot.
go Jojo.
He's so athletic, bro. They're starting to make him more of a kick option these days too. If you actually notice a lot of Jojo Fafita, a lot of their success has come from crossfield bombs to Jojo. Plus, like, yeah, he's just a big body, gets through a ton of work. Out of the two, yeah, I'd have Jojo Fafita.
Yeah, I'm going for Fafita as well. Just Koss he just hasn't been there.
Yeah,
Right
love you,
centre,
Goss.
Roger Tuivasa-Sheck versus Philip Sami.
Mm,
Sami's pretty good. I don't know how he's been going at his centre, but he's a pretty good player, like speed wise.
yeah.
I'm tempted just to go Sami because I just don't know what we're going to get from Rog on that right centre at the moment. Would
Yep.
that be fair, or we?
See, I prefer Philip Sammy as a winger. I think Philip
Yeah,
Sammy
he's
does well at centre, but I prefer him at the wing. But out of the two, I got to go Rog. Like I think Rog is sturdier. Like I honestly do. I think Rog defensively is better. And then if you look at both these guys' work rate as a centre, like I think Roger can do so much similar things to what Philip Sammy can do at centre, even better, in my opinion. From what I've seen of Philip Sammy at centre, I prefer Roger at centre.
okay. Okay, I think
But I
we'll
love
go
Philip
RT.
Sammy.
Yeah, we'll go RTSD. I just haven't watched enough Sami anyway, and probably haven't watched enough Rogers. So it's kind of like that one I'll be enjoying just to watch and wait and see what happens. So,
Yeah.
Pompey versus Brian Kelly.
Mm.
Sheesh, that's a good battle. Kelly with the speed, um, all the natural attributes of a good running attacking center.
Yeah.
Pops, we know what he can do. I'd probably favor Brian Kelly based on his ability to, create on the outside, the speed, all those things. Well, would you say the same, or do you think Pompey's actually quite close to Brian Kelly?
This is a tough one because the way I'll throw up this argument to you is consistency versus on their day. Like I think on their day, Brian Kelly all day. Like I think Brian Kelly on his day he can get some good defensive frees, do well there, but attacking wise, he just gets so much space on the outside man to really get his wingers away. Bumpy is like, he's so just solid all the way through. He's always been solid. He'll have moments in him, but like again, like I've seen Brian Kelly have horrible errors. Like he could go back to like schoolboy type football, or he could look like one of the best centers in the competition and look like he could play Origin. So I would prefer Adam Pompey just as a consistent footballer. And if we go with goal kicking, both these guys can goal kick. I would have Adam Pompey over the top of him.
I'll go Pompey. I haven't watched much of Kelly, but I know he destroyed us that day. So
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
I'm hoping he doesn't have his on the day game.
Yeah.
I hope he saves his worst for Saturday.
Yeah, bro.
Um,
He's got a lot of talent. It's just consistency. He's
is
not
he
a
a
very
victim of being in
consistent
a bad
center.
team, or is he a victim of being in a really poor team, or is he just poor himself?
Possibly, he did a lot of good work when he was at the Manly Seagulls in his like early stint in his career and that. But yeah, he just seems to be. I think the reason why he ended up going to Gold Coast, a lot of people didn't want him really, was due to his error rate. He had moments there where he couldn't even make first grade due to that inconsistency that he's had. But he's worked on his game a lot. I'll give him that. I just still think he has the odd like moment where he can have a shocker in him. He really can.
Yep, fair enough. Fair enough. Montoya versus who we got here? Khan Pereira.
Mm.
Pereira with the
It's
speed.
tough.
Monty's been good, barring those errors. That's pretty. The previous 3 weeks he was absolutely awesome.
Yep.
I'm probably going to go with Khan for me personally. I like the speed element of his game.
Mm.
What would you reckon?
Both these guys are defensive liabilities, most likely. Like, I think
Yeah.
Khan Pereira can get found out so easily, smaller body, and he also can have those really big bad errors. Like, I remember like a lot of the game plan you'd think from last year, Gold Coast and all that, just kick to his corner as much as you can, you'll find it. Like, you'll find an error out of him. The only thing that holds him up, bro, he's just got that lightning speed that you just can't get. Like, he really is that, like that. Monty is the high work rate, big body, get out of the work out of the back ends. Well, if we're constructing a team, what we're doing now, I would have Khan Pereira because of like, if you're gonna out of nowhere put something on for him, get some space on the outside, he's gonna create points. Monty doesn't have that in his game. Monty will break tackles, and I think we get that from Jojo Fafita if I'm thinking the team aspect of what we got on the paper here. So
Gotcha, yeah.
I'm swaying the way of Khan Pereira with you too, bro. But again, errors and defense is what both these boys do lack in. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, that's a fair shout as well. Now best two halves. Campbell, Foran, Tomitis, Sean.
Mm.
Foran's been okay. Do you think
Yeah.
he's been, or is he on his way? He's on the decline. He's really been poor.
Body wise, yeah. Like injury
Body's breaking
wise,
down. Yeah, body's breaking down.
he's breaking down. Performances when he's on a football field, like he's Kieran Foran. Like I know we didn't have success with him at the Warriors and that, and I feel like that had a lot to do. Maybe he wasn't in a good headspace. But
It wasn't.
you know, at the Gold Coast Titans, like he wasn't using Dave Fafita a lot. Obviously, not last weekend and all that, being on opposite edges and that. But his combination with Dave Fafita was like incredible and unlocked Dave Fafita. I wouldn't have Jaden Campbell at all at 6. I don't like Jaden Campbell at 6. Defensively, bro, spotted up on. It's exactly my argument of having Tane Tuapiki at that 6 role. Wouldn't have it. He reminds me so much of Jaden Campbell. So really the argument is Tomato Martin, Sean Johnson, and Kieran Foran. Who would you pick out of your halves out of those two?
I'll go Sean and Foran based on just but I know Tomitis is a really good shout too. Tomitis probably on form would be the go with maybe either Sean or Kieran. But if you go on kind of reputation and overall, on their day, if they're all fit and healthy, doing what they're supposed to be doing, you probably go Sean and Kieran.
Yeah, if I was think of like, if they're healthy and just get through the work and all that, I'd probably go Sean and Kieran Foran because Kieran Foran knows how to play that second fill at that 6 and make it work. He did it with DCE and all that over the years. Where Tomato, unfortunately, we haven't seen it with Tomato at the moment. And I'd say that best combination would be Sean Johnson, Kieran Foran. Both experienced halves, know how to get a team around the park. And I've seen a lot of good things out of Kieran Foran.
And see, that's the argument I kind of have with Foran. He's actually, technically played a 6 with DC, but it was well balanced. Hey,
yeah,
like you felt though Foran was creating just as much of what DCE was. Whereas again, I go back to the system. In this system, the 5'8" technically is like a link player a lot of the time. So,
well, if you notice on that, the whole argument, as we said to start it, was they used Jakey as that link player and they separated the field into two. DC used to predominantly like to be on that right edge. He could sweep sometimes, but predominantly he'd play with Olakawatu on that side. Where, Foran used to love playing on that left side, just holding that left edge and really just hammering that side. So, that could be an area that suits us if we want to run that with Tomato Martin, if that's the way we want to go about things.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to, is that balance between Foran and DCE in their primes. It was really good. Okay, let's get into the front row. Palace. So we'll do best 4 or 2 props. Palacia, Fanua, Blake, Pahulu, and Ford. Keenan's the one that came from the Broncos?
Yeah, but he's fallen off quite a bit from the Broncos. His energy's just not there. His defensive movements have been very poor lately. I don't know what's happened. I don't know whether it's just going to a poor system and it's just not working out for him. But yeah, I've not liked what I've seen from Balasia at the Titans. I would go our two fronties for sure. But that Josiah Pohulu, bro, he's definitely a kid for the future. Massive thighs, bro. You'll see it on the weekend. Like he's got Jason Tamalolo type thighs.
Pahulu, didn't we have a Pahulu at our club? No, I think
Uh,
who was it guy? He
nah,
was from the
you'd probably
Titans too.
thinking Pulu.
Pulu,
We had him back
Pulu,
in the
yeah.
day. We got him from the
Yeah.
Titans as well. Remember
Yeah,
that
yeah,
trade?
that's
We
all.
had him and
Yeah,
Barsi,
yeah, passing. Yeah, that's
Ignatius
right.
Barsi. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ignatius was all right, bro. He was like,
Yeah, I
I like
like
him.
Ignatius.
I like him.
I was
He
I was arguing in
and
the chats for getting Pahulu to play for us too, because I liked what I saw from Pahulu as well, but he never got a crack with us properly.
Pahulu, this one here.
Nah,
Is it?
this different
Oh,
one. Oh, not
I mean
Pahulu, Pulu,
Pulu.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, he was all right. Like he had his, yeah. Was it the COVID period or just pre-COVID? Maybe it was 2018s,
I
2017s.
think this was pre-COVID, bro. I think it led into COVID. Yeah, it was when we had Isaiah Papali'i. I think it might have been that 2018 season where we had, Blairy and all those boys there.
Yeah, yeah. They weren't
Parsi
too
was
bad. Like
there.
Parsi was mean. I like Parsi.
Bro, I
Yeah,
like
he was
Barsi.
Bunty before the hairdo before Bunty. Because
Yeah.
remember he had the big hairdo as well.
Bro, he was
Yeah.
solid. He ended up scoring tries for us and all that too.
No, he
Like he
was
was a
good, bro.
solid
And
body in the middle.
he went over to the UK and did well over there. I don't know if it was with St. Helens or who he's been playing with over there, but he had a good run too.
Yep.
Yeah, 2018. Thanks, Emmanuel. Appreciate that.
There you go. It
Um,
was 2018.
yeah. No, that was a good little run. Enjoyed those guys. But yeah, I saw the name and I was like, Pulu, but yeah, it was Pulu. Yeah, that's right.
It's
He
one
was
of
good.
our most underrated seasons too. Like, if you actually see, like, I think there's a comment here. Emmanuel, yeah, had a decent team that year. First and eighth were separated by 2 points that season. It was a close season. And I think the only thing that stopped us in the final series was we had Roger and Sean Johnson both go down with injuries against the Panthers. And we had
That's
that
right. Yeah.
Panthers
Oh
team.
man, I remember when I was watching that game and it was just like deflating, eh? Because did we score
Mm.
first in that game? I
Yeah,
think it
we
was
looked
Isaac.
incredible.
We looked good, man. It was like, but then Roger went down. And I was like, oh no. And
Bro,
then
I have a
Sean,
mad story about this, bro. Me and the bro, like, who's currently back in New Zealand, we were messaging back and forth for this game, bro. Like, like, fuck yeah, up the wires, let's go. And then, like, our messages were so positive to start off with. And I think it was after about the 25th or 30 minute, that's when the Panthers turned it over and started, like, we had injuries and that. And every one of our text messages got even more and more and more negative throughout the whole thing. We're just like, should we turn the game off? Maybe. But that season underrated, bro. We started, like, I think a 4-0 run. I think I dominated my tipping that year because the Warriors were going good. And like Kemba Marlowe, Fusatua, like, bro, it was a great year.
who was it? I think it was. Did Luai play in that game? Was it Luai that
No,
stayed? No, who was it?
that
Who were their
was
halves? Was it
Jimmy
Wallace?
Maloney. Jimmy
Maloney,
Maloney
Wallace?
and Cleary. It was Cleary's first
It
or
was a
second
young
year.
Cleary. Yeah. It was a young. I was
Mhm.
thinking it was either Cleary or Luai. Like it was a young Cleary.
Yep.
And they beat us, bro. Yeah, that was gutting, man. That was at the SFS too, I think. Hey, there was a Sydney football.
I think it was. Yeah, it was at a
I
decent
don't. I
stadium
can't
because
remember.
they
Yeah, I
couldn't play
can't
at a blue
remember.
bet.
Yeah, I remember they couldn't play it. They didn't play a blue bit, but yeah, that was, bro. We were riding it for about 20, 25 minutes, and it just fell
Yeah.
to bits. I was like, oh no.
I don't like, that season, bro, where like we started so well that we had injuries and everyone came back and we had a late push and it was like great. So yeah, I remember that season quite fondly.
Yeah, shout out Emmanuel, man. You got a good memory, brother.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Fusatua went in. I even think we maybe scored too early. I can't remember. It just felt like we were like building and then it just fell
We were on a
apart.
high.
Yeah,
bro. Yep. I used to love, bro. That was a good season. That was a good season.
No, it was mean. It was absolutely, that was a good time too. Like, shout out, big up Kearney as well to get that squad through, and
Yeah.
that was the one where we got over in Perth, eh?
The Rabbitohs with Greg Inglis and all those boys there.
Yeah, that was cold.
I don't know if Karasomi or Va'a was in that side and that, but like, yeah, that was a big win for us.
Va'a,
yeah. That started our freaking thing, bro.
We went 5 straight. Yeah, we went 5 or 6 straight. It was good. And Fusatua was at his peak, and Ken was playing good football.
Free were, bro. Ken Mamalo. Yeah. We were dominating run meters. Like, we started the new age of, like, our back three were our forward pack. It really was. And we had Larry in that.
And what was it? I think it was 2018. I think even Ken played Kiwis, and he was really good that year as well. I can't remember which year it was, but Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a really good season. Okay, we digress. Let us digress. Back to where are we? Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
so
going
okay,
ads or we're going
ads.
Jacko forward.
Yeah, let's just move it on. We'll speed it up, people. We got caught in La La Land there.
And keep an eye
Um,
out for Thunder Thighs, Pahulu. Like his like legs are crazy massive. That's where we touched on first off. But yeah, check him out. He's definitely a talent for the future, that kid.
yeah. Okay, it is Egan versus Chris
Chris Randall.
Randall. Okay. I
Mm.
love Egan, but yeah, Chris Randall he just lights me, lights my fire.
Yeah, we go
Um,
Wado, huh? We'll definitely go Wado, huh?
yeah. But any word on
But
Randall? Yeah, thoughts on Randall at
yeah.
all?
Yeah, he's solid in the middle, bro. Defensive type hooker. It gets for a ton of work. He can get pushed to that 13 role too. Like I love him for that sort of look, bro. He defensive, like he chops blokes in the middle. So, can cause a lot of errors. So definitely got to watch the way, his tackle tech's on point. And that rotation of Devin Semi-Verrills is pretty good. But Wado just has a lot more to his game. Passing out of the ruck, slicker ball playing, that sort of thing.
Cool. Now the left edge. Do we want to?
Would
Oh, so we've used Jackson already in the
Dave
thing.
Fafita.
I think we'll just
It'd
give
be
it to
Dave
Fafita
Fafita.
anyway. Yeah, let's just give it
Yeah.
to Fafita because and it'd be Marata versus Firma.
I'd go Murata.
Yeah, so let's go Fafita and not Firma, sorry. Fafita and New Cordy.
Yeah.
Marata.
100%.
Yeah. Okay,
100%.
and then let's go into the lock. So Tohu versus Aaron Clark. Aaron's pretty mean, bro? I thought he was good against us like the last time he played. I even was wanting to get Aaron back here, back home. Great. He's done really well. Be swaying towards Aaron, would you?
Still got Tohu, bro. I still got Tohu.
Still go to him?
Yeah, I still go Tohu. I think Tohu's like he gets through ton of work, and now Aaron will probably play for a good 30. I think Tohu has shown multiple times he can play a good 60. Link man, that sort of stuff. If you want impact type player, Aaron Clark's your man. But if we're going for a full 80 minutes as a 13, like if we have to, like Tohu is the man there for sure.
Yep. And again, guys, we love Aaron too.
Come home.
Yeah, come home, Aaron. Come home, brother. Okay, bench best 4 players: Virals, Isaac Liu, Isaac Fa'asua Maleawi, and Joe Stimson with Chanel, Harris Tavita, Jacob Laban, Jazz Tavanga, and Tom Ale. Who's your first pick?
Oh, this one's tough because I could see myself running a 2 utility bench because I like a lot of what Sam Verrills does. I'm going to go Semi-Verrills to start with.
Yep.
Like if I get a fit, healthy Semi-Verrills, the speed he plays for in the middle off the ruck, like I can imagine Wade Egan and Semi-Verrills, the interchange of that would be so damaging. Then we're running at forwards, so I haven't liked any of those. Like Isaac Fa'asul Malaawi has a little bit of potential there. I still, yeah. I don't know. I don't like what Isaac Liu has fallen off from going from the Roosters to the Titans completely. I used to like a lot what Isaac Liu has done.
Isaac too, yeah. Yeah, I did.
And Joe Stimson is a workhorse in that, but I see a lot of he doesn't give a lot of. So I'd probably go Semi-Verrills. I'd go Jazzy Tavanga. I'd go Tom Ale. And as an edge back row cover, I'd have to go Jake Laban if I was to make a really good bench here. But if I wasn't worried about edge back row, I'd have Chanel. But yeah, that would be the way I go.
Virals is good too. I like Virals. That's probably about right though overall. I mean, we probably lost Walker to that middle edge spot, so technically you probably would have balanced out. But overall, we do look still. Yeah, we won the front row battle. We've won pretty much the forward battle technically. Backline is overall good. Yeah, man. Well, we're coming up against a team with 3 wins now. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's not to say that we're going to destroy them. Never in the NRL ever take a team lightly.
No.
But how do you think overall the game will go, bro?
I'm hoping, honestly, is for us to get back into really good form. Hopefully, on the defensive end, we need to try and limit the Gold Coast Titans because they are a team that can score a ton of points. Like I think they average over that 25 mark and that. So really excited to see what we can pull out there. I'm swaying the way of a 28-20 game. I'm thinking that we're going to get ahead. I'm hoping for a 13 plus, but I just don't want to be the guy to say 13 plus just yet because I don't think we're there just yet. I think we're working towards things. As soon as I start seeing consistent performances back to back to back of us, really click, then I'll start getting confidence to say 13 plus again. But at the moment, I got to see it first.
What is it for you that you need to see? Is it defensive resilience or is it attacking? Yeah.
No, I think honestly, for me, it's just defensive resilience. I couldn't care less if we go back to our only right side, just keep peppering a team all game. I would rather us hold a team out to 8 to 12 points and score 18 than score 28 and allow a team to score 30. You know what I mean? And that's just the way I watch football. But in my opinion, it's just like when we get those moments of penalties going against us, errors going against us, when we're on our line, that's the most important part of the game. You know what I mean? And I think that's what the Panthers have done for years, and that's what some of the best teams in the competition do is they defend like their life depends on them, especially on their goal line. We lost a little bit of that this year. We've lost it within this year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man, I'm kind of the same. Would love to just see a strong defensive performance, like just not let them score. I do worry with Kossi and Roger, just time under duress. They haven't had that yet. Although, it'd just be great to see them back on the field. But that's just how our season's been. Always guys coming in and out. It just you never get a good run of everyone that you want, and probably never will. But I would love to just see a strong defensive performance. Like I loved what we saw against the Cowboys. I thought that was really, really good. Where it was great attack and defensive. I think we kept them to 12 points, or it might have been
it was
something similar. Like even if it's 24-12 or something like that, that would be good for me. Just don't leak any more than 3 or 4 tries, and don't leak them in the fashion that we have been. Where it's almost immediately. Like I hate seeing my pet peeve at the moment is that they'll get a penalty like just maybe 30 meters into their half. They'll kick for the touchline, and in that same set they've scored tries. Like Melbourne did that twice to us, and I don't blame Pompey on that first one. He tried his absolute best. It's just unfortunate. The second one just outclassed us in the air, but like it's almost just we need to deny them at least 2 or 3, like 2 times. Like give them 2 repeat sets, then let them score. I've got no problem with it, but we cannot let them score literally on the same attacking set.
Yeah,
that's my only real pet peeve at the moment, that this team is just leaking straight away. Like that's what's scary about it.
And when you start to for me, if you pull apart that game over the weekend, I thought we were incredible. Even when we came to the point where penalties went against us, I thought we defended our line so well. But again, as Webby touched on, as you touched on as well, our 5th tackle defensive option is it's so hard to defend kicks. Those 2 kicking moments, I can live with, you know what I mean, as long as we get back on the horse. But unfortunately, the frustration of the penalties and the back-to-back tries from kicks and all that got to us. And then we had those moments of defensive lapses. The first one, obviously, Monty not covering. He was holding too far in, watching the ball. The ball just shifts completely out to him. The second one was, usually Pompey's really good at covering his inside and then pushing out. It felt like he pushed out way early, and then bang, Eli Katoa straight through a gap. And I can't remember who was defending on that edge there because it wasn't Mitch Barnett. I think he was in field a little bit there, but just couldn't cover the holes there. That was a big one for me where I was like, okay, the boys are frustrated. You can't do that. You can't allow the game to do that against us, And the other tries at the end of the game, we were down to 11 men. We were down to 12 men. They struck in those moments. But the 2 tries of Iramira and Nick Meaney were the 2 big ones for me that I was like, those are the ones we need to limit because that would have got us into a position to win the game if we didn't have those. You know what I mean? That was the big one for me.
But it's a thing that's been happening over the season at different times.
Exactly.
but we just need to really tighten up. I mean, it's going to be a little bit tougher without Barnett and Capewell and what he's been doing, but it's a great opportunity again for the guys to come through.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love watching it. It doesn't matter what team we put out there. I'm excited. If we put out the
Yeah.
whole New South Wales Cup team, I'll be like, "Yo, let's see what this looks like." Like I the whole SG ball. I'm like, bro, I wonder who's going to stand out. Like who actually ain't. Like I honestly just love watching our team. Like
Yeah.
no matter what happens. But yeah, I'm looking for those key indicators. But from if we're being honest, like we should beat this Titans team. Like
Mm.
that forward pack, we should still manhandle them. We should control them. And
Yep.
if we don't, that's where those patterns and behaviors are still hanging around. But anyway, I think that's us, people. Any other quarter or Ash that you might have?
Nah, bro, but I completely agree with your point. It's like on paper, it shows everything we should be able to get over the Gold Coast Titans, but we can't take any NRL team lightly. Like, it just is what it is. Got to come to a game and play it to full effect. And I'm sure Webby will do it, bro. Like, I have full trust in Webby still. And yeah, full trust in the boys. Shawnee, have a big game for us, man. Put these fans to quiet, bro. Like, quiet them down a little bit. Like, get out there and play your football. But also, fans, understand, it is the structures and the systems that a lot of these boys are playing under. So sometimes it doesn't make them shine. It wasn't Shawnee that lost this game of the weekend. Unfortunately, our defense lost this game of the weekend, has lost us the majority of our games this year. So, but that's just my thoughts, bro.
No, awesome, man. Hey, and shout out to Ash. You going to the game on Saturday?
Yes, bro.
You're pumped, man. Yeah. So, yeah, guys, I'll be filling in, doing some watch along. So jump in with me, but hopefully we'll see Ash on the big screen. Bit of kiss cam, maybe. What do you reckon?
Maybe. Oh, well, I'm going with my best mate. Like, I'll give him a nice little smooch. I don't know. Let's see how we go. See how he looks on the day.
Yeah, no. Good shout, man. Yeah. So, and just for programming's sake, you got Down Unders tomorrow night. I thought that was awesome. Shout out to the bro Brody, massive footy knowledge. Man, you guys were bang on. But yeah, back on tomorrow night.
Yeah, 100%, bro. And to everyone, Brody doesn't have a social media, like a proper, he's not a content creator. He hasn't done any of that. That was his first full, like, even crack at doing this. So thought he did really well. I can't wait to grow with him and, yeah, maybe get a lot of fans for him there too. But yeah, it's been really fun, bro. And I can't wait to continue adding more shows to Wise Up TV because I think the fans are all loving it out there. So the community's all loving it out there. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, shout out everyone in the chat. Yeah, we'll definitely see you guys there. A bit of a mana wave. Stay safe. Man, the one I hated seeing Far Along or do the mana wave. I was like,
I knew this was gonna get brought up.
I literally just wanted to jump through the screen and just like whack him, bro. I was like, I just wanted to.
Should have swan dive again, bro. Should have swan dive again, so you get winded again, bro.
I just want to give him I wanted to see him do a swan dive and just me coming through with an uppercut as he's diving. I just been dreaming about doing that, man. But I mean, bro, yeah, well, thank you everyone in the chat. Massive chat tonight. See you guys coming for Ash's show tomorrow night. And then obviously watch along and full credit as well on Saturday night. So massive week. Take care, people. Up the wise, stay safe. Catch you later.
Up the wise, baby. Let's go.